Hello YouTube, this is Michael B. the Game Genie, and this is another episode of my game pickups from the new Adventure Island. So guys, as most of you will know, I just recently got back from dropping my wife off in law school in New Brunswick. When I was up there, I got to do a lot of game hunting because I had some time off from work. And I gotta say, New Brunswick was a real hotbed for games. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of stores or anything like that, no retail stores. But you know what? They actually had an amazing flea market. And if you could get to the thrift stores quick enough, you could pick up some cool stuff. Not to mention the pawn shops actually had some really cool stuff. And that's what I want to show you today. So first off, let me start with my Sega Master System titles I picked up. So guys, the first Master System game I picked up, I'm excited, it's a tight release, is Roston for the Master System. Now, I'd love to tell you that I've been able to play this, but my Master System's completely on the fritz, and I can no longer play any games. I have 2 games that can work, so I can't tell you a whole lot about Roston, but I've heard some really good things. And I picked this up for a really good price too. I only paid $5, so I'm pretty happy with that. Anytime I can generally find a Master System game for around $5, I'm happy. Now, the next one I'm really excited about, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't know a whole lot about what's on the Master System. I've never really done a whole lot of collecting for it. It's only something I really got interested in the past year. So this is a game I had no idea was actually on the Master System, and I actually got this to work on my Master System, and I was surprised how well it actually played and looked. Specifically because it's also a Genesis game. I was amazed how well it compared. And that is Altered Beast on the Sega Master System. And believe it or not, guys, I got this game for free. That's right, free. The reason I got Altered Beast for free was because actually I picked it up while I was at the New Brunswick flea market. And I had already bought a couple other Sega Genesis games, so he threw Altered Beast in for free. And I cannot tell you how excited I am about the Sega Genesis games I picked up. One actually completes my Sonic the Hedgehog collection for the Sega Genesis, and that is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Believe it or not, it's the only game in the series I didn't have, and actually very hard for me to find. Only problem is, I was so excited to get this home, I can't get it to work. I've cleaned it mercilessly. I've tried it in multiple Genesis. The only way I can even remotely get it to come on is if I plug it into the top of my Sonic & Knuckles and then plug that into the Genesis. It sort of comes on, but it still doesn't work. So, even though I completed it, I got a feeling this one's going back. Now, this is the first game in the series of games I'm going to show you today that actually relate back to the title. The title of this one is 16-Bit Jams. And I know, I'm stealing off Rue, but I don't even know if he actually even makes videos anymore. All kidding aside, I'm a huge fan of 16-bit jams, and really the 16-bit system was kind of my wheelhouse. That's when I really got into gaming. But this is a Sega Genesis gem that I have never played before. In fact, I haven't really played any of the games in the series, and I'm excited to start trying them out. And I was very fortunate to pick this game up complete from the same seller I bought Sonic 3, and I got the copy of Altered Beast stuff, and that is Phantasy Star 3. It's my first Phantasy Star game. So guys, moving along to the PlayStation and the PlayStation 2. I have a pretty decent PlayStation collection. I've got around 50 to 60 titles. Actually got some of the really good RPGs, so I'm happy with that. But one thing I don't have a whole lot of is long box PlayStation games. So I was at the Value Village while I was in New Brunswick, and Fredericton, New Brunswick, and I actually came across 2 long box PlayStation games. They were selling them for, I think it was $1.99 each. The first one is a game I know absolutely nothing about, and that is Magic Carpet. I haven't had a chance to try this out yet. I'm not expecting a whole lot from it. The second, I'm a little bit more excited about picking up, and actually I posted a video to my Facebook page. If you guys haven't checked me out on Facebook, go check it out. I actually post a lot of my stuff I get early on my Facebook page and give everybody an idea of what they're going to see in new pickup videos. But I posted this on there, and actually one of my good friends here on YouTube, Universe Review, actually wrote me and said he's been looking for it for a long time. So anyways, I'm excited to pick it up for $2, and that is Lemmings 3D. And at the exact same thrift store, I actually picked up a game that I'm pretty excited about, mostly because of the main character in the game. I just did a top 3 Tuesday for Mr. Do 206, and it was your top 3 female characters. And she's my number 3, and that is Lara Croft, Tomb Raider Anniversary. So I'm excited to try this out. I don't know a whole lot about the game, but I'm hoping it's very similar to the first Tomb Raider, because they're the games I love in the series, Tomb Raider 1 and 2. So guys, I haven't really been collecting for the PS2, because much like the PS1, I have most of the games I wanted for it, but if I see a really good deal, I'll pick something up. So I mentioned that I went to this pawn shop called Digital World, and they had this really cool deal on. It was basically, you could buy 4 games within this bin for $10. So to fill out my 4 games, I came across this PlayStation 2 game and decided to give it a go. That is Ark the Lad, $2.50. Excited to try it out. Oh, I'm sorry, Ark the Lad, End of Darkness. So I mentioned that I paid $2.50 for Ark the Lad. I also picked up a Nintendo game, and a Super Nintendo game, which you'll see later, but probably one of the things I was most excited to find in that bin is what I'm going to show you right now. As most of you know, probably my second favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy VII. I'm a huge Final Fantasy VII fan, so much so that, you know, I pretty much pick up everything I can. Like, I've got the Final Fantasy VII Advent Children movie, I've got the game, I've got Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus. Anything that comes out Final Fantasy VII related, I'll usually pick it up. But sometimes there's these things that you don't normally just run across, and one of which is a Final Fantasy VII demo disc. I've never ever seen one in the wild before. I've looked at them on eBay. I think they go for somewhere around $30, but I mean, who's going to pay $30 for a demo disc? However, sitting right here in this 4 for $10 bin as I'm picking through, I come across Final Fantasy VII demo disc, and I was so excited, I grabbed it right away, I brought it up to the cash, I made sure she didn't even question it, and of course she immediately said to me, you know that's not Final Fantasy VII. And I said, no it's not, I'm actually more excited about this. So, guys, Final Fantasy VII demo disc, it's got the demo version of the first little bit of the stage of Final Fantasy VII. It's also got a demo for Saga Frontier, which is a PS1 game I don't have that I want to pick up, Bushido Blade, and Final Fantasy Tactics. So anyways, very excited to have this in my collection, and this will be displayed very nicely. Last but not least, I picked up some incredible Super Nintendo titles while I was away. And I'm not joking, the reason this is called 16-bit gems, after you see some of the Super Nintendo games I've picked up, you'll understand why I wanted to honor 16-bit gems, Rue from Clan of the Grey Wolf, because basically these games are games that he's done reviews of, and games that I've been looking for ever since I originally saw his reviews. I'm going to start with some of the titles that are great Super Nintendo games, but aren't exactly 16-bit gems. Well, I guess that's to the eye of the beholder, but I picked up Phalanx, which probably has one of the strangest covers ever for a Super Nintendo game. It's a man with a banjo, and you just see right in the corner of your eye the little ship going across him. This is a shoot-'em-up game. This was $5. The third item that I got from Digital World in the 4 for $10 bin, I picked up a copy of Pilot Wings, and here we go. The first of which of the great SNES RPGs I added to my collection, Brain Lord. I paid $10 for this. Now I'm starting to get really excited. The prequel to Illusion of Gaia, the first game in this, I guess, the Illusion of Gaia series, Soul Blazer. I was so excited when I came across this. As most people know right now, when you go out and you come across Super Nintendo games at a reseller's table at a flea market, they're all jacked up around anywhere from $50 to $100 right now, and it is ridiculous. So I came across this copy of Soul Blazer, and I noticed on the sticker $30. Wasn't really familiar at the time if that was a really good price, So anyways, I took a look at it, and he actually had a second copy of Soul Blazer on the table, and I said, well, I'll pick it up, and I'll get the one that looks like it has the cleanest case, cleanest connectors. When I picked up the second copy, he was selling the second copy of Soul Blazer for $65. So of course, I didn't even question it. I just basically handed it to the man, gave him the $30 before he realized that he was selling two copies of the exact same game at a different price. And I got it home, works perfectly, there's absolutely no flaw, and realistically this game is in just as good a shape as the other one he had there. The next of which is a Capcom RPG, and one I'm very excited to have. I've already finished the game. I actually had it for my Game Boy Advance, but I'm very excited to pick up the Super Nintendo title and play in its original format. And I paid $40 for this game, which I guess is a lot. It wasn't complete, but I've just never ever ran across a copy of this before, and I got a little overwhelmed and excited, so I just grabbed it right away. I didn't get this at the flea market. I actually got this from a seller. I went to one of the pawn shops, and they didn't have any games there, and I just mentioned to him, do you ever have any old Nintendo, Super Nintendo games in? He said, no, but you might want to contact my friend. So sure enough, I did. This is the guy I also got my copy of This is also the guy I got my copy of Mighty Final Fight box from. And sure enough, he said, yeah, look through my Super Nintendo games, maybe there's something there you want. I ran across Breath of Fire 2, he wanted $60 for it, I said, would you take 40? And sure enough, he gave in and took 40, and I walked out with my copy of Breath of Fire 2, which I am so excited to add to my collection. And last but not least, the most exciting game in the entire series. It's a game I knew absolutely nothing about growing up, and honestly, the first time I ever seen anything about it was in Planet of the Grey Wolves 16-bit Gems. And that game is Lufia 2 Rise of the Sinistrals. I can't tell you how great a game this is. I've been playing it ever since I got it, and I absolutely love it. What a fantastic RPG. I had already owned Lufia and the Fortress of Doom, and I actually love that game. And this just does everything that game does, and so much more. I paid for it though. They wanted $80, I knocked them down to $55, and they took it. Of course, I bought this at the flea market, and I bought a bunch of stuff, so I got quite a lot of discounts. And I want to say something, like, everybody jumps down sellers' backs and says, resellers' backs, and says, like, oh, these guys are terrible, they go around to the flea markets, grab the stuff up before we do, but you know what, sometimes these guys are just trying to make a living, they're trying to make a dollar. I don't have any problem supporting local business. I mean, if I can get a game below eBay price from a reseller, I don't mind giving them a little bit of extra money. And you know what, if you're nice to them, you start a conversation, you start talking about gaming and other things like that, they'll usually give you some kind of deal or discount, so you don't jump down the resellers' backs or throats. I mean, not necessary. If you're really staunch about it, yeah, absolutely. Go without having a game. Basically, go without it for 100 years. Personally, I'm not willing to do that all the time, so if I run across it at a decent price, I'm going to pick it up. And because of that philosophy, I now have Lufia 2 Rise of the Sinistrals, and I am so excited. So, that brings me to my personal collection. I'm not going for a complete Super Nintendo collection, but there's a certain desired list of games I want, and I want to collect all the RPGs. So now I'm only short 2 games. I'm short Chrono Trigger, which, for some reason, it's just getting ridiculous in price, so I don't know if I'll even pick it up, because I've already finished the game. I have a copy for the PlayStation 1, the Final Fantasy Chronicles disc, so we'll see. But the other game I absolutely have to have, and I promise you, within the near future, I'm going to pick up, and that is Super Mario RPG. So guys, those are the pickups that I got while I was in New Brunswick after dropping my wife off at law school. I hope you enjoyed. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time. Oh yes, my pretties, you'll look very nice in my collection. Whoa!